Welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast where we connect entrepreneurs and professionals to help each other go all in on their business. I'm your host, Ezra Brown. Without further ado, I'm going to let my guest introduce himself.
Howdy, everyone. I'm Jon Lamson. I'm the owner of American Shield Roofing and Construction here in Hallettsville, Texas. We are basically your all-purpose go-to roofing company for the Victoria and surrounding counties. Our service area extends from anywhere far east as Houston, as far west as Seguin, and as far north as Giddings, and as far south as the coast. So I'm glad to be here. And I want to thank you, Ezra, for letting me be on this.
Absolutely, John. I appreciate you for being here and coming, man. Taking time out of your day, it means a lot. You know, time is our most valuable commodity, as everybody says.
Absolutely.
But no, man, I kind of give me a story, man. I know you got American Shield Roofing, and I'm sure you've had other endeavors in life to get you here. But paint us that picture of where it was to now. From the start of your professional journey, and it might have been at Kroger's a bag boy at 16 to be to where you are now, to be in.
Well, let's start with postgraduate. I guess that's probably the best way to start. So, I graduated from Texas A&M in the year 1999 and went into education. I was a teacher and a coach. I coached football, powerlifting, and track for 18 years. Had a lot of success, and got to the point where the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze anymore. It just wasn't what it used to be. Education in 2001 and 2000 is a whole lot different than what it is in 2024. So
Absolutely.
2019, I got out of education and started working for a roofing contracting company out of LaGrange, and I was his general manager for several months. And I saw what the business was all about, and made some connections that really drove me to start thinking more about doing this stuff on my own.
Right.
Got involved with a friend of mine from elementary school. We got this thing rolling. In November of 2019 is our actual licensing date with the state, and we've been rolling ever since. About 3 weeks ago, I actually bought out my business partner, so now I'm the sole owner and chief executive officer of the company. And I've been blowing and going, just trying to reach out to as many people and help as many people get through their perils as I possibly can. And that's pretty much it.
Right, man. That's awesome. Especially having that opportunity to go in and buy a business partner out to where it's kind of your whole own thing now. You know what I mean? Especially now you can go off one vision. It's a lot easier for sure.
Correct. Correct.
Definitely. And then so what kind of I guess, because I know there's a lot of connections you go through, suppliers, things in that nature. You got to get good connections with and get good pricing.
Sure.
What would you say was kind of the hardest part of getting it rolling in 2019? Other than COVID, I understand because you had the hardship of everything.
Yeah, COVID was a whole different animal. Like I said, we started in November of 19, and then when COVID hit, it really made us have to rethink our process. But the hardest thing about starting a business is just getting your connections out there. I had several connections working with distribution centers and with subs and things like that. There are several connections through several different alleys that really fed us to where our beginnings really started.
Right.
But reaching out to suppliers, setting up accounts, all the ancillary things that you have to have as a roofing company. We use a program called Company Cam.
Okay.
That's something that I've never used before in my life, and it's wound up being a saving grace because it allows us to take pictures of the home of every project, before, during, and after. It actually compiles it into, one picture database. Okay. So, some things like that are, just learning how the insurance game works, how retail works, and all the ancillary things in between, working, finding a CRM that works for us,
Right.
it was all the little details that you have to do. And then of course, once you have all those things in place, you got to go out there and pound the ground, and find clientele. That's really where it all starts.
Right.
You can have all the bells and whistles out there that make you look good, but if you can't put money in the bank by making projects happen, you're just kind of sitting there spinning your wheels.
Right, absolutely, yeah. Me and you talked a little bit about that because it's definitely something that's not easy now is finding people that'll go pound the pavement. It's not,
That's
what I
right.
mean? And
Yeah.
I do have buddies in the roofing world. I'm in the sales world. I pound pavement all the time. That's kind of, if I don't pound pavement, I might as well just go work at McDonald's or something. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's
But
right.
definitely, so how long was it that you were just out there pounding the pavement kind of on your own? How long did that take for you went and got some?
Man, I'm still doing it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm still doing it. For us, our first year, it was kind of a slow start. It was one of those deals where, you don't realize how difficult it is starting up a business until you get out there and realize that, there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Right.
But no, it's a grind every day, but it's a grind of love. For us, it was one of those things where, working in a partnership, it was kind of easy because we could run two different territories and build clientele like that. Building a reputation is probably one of the hardest things to do whenever you're a new guy in the industry. My experience that I had with the other roofing company was great, but at the end of the day, if you're the new kid on the block, trying to build your reputation with communities, getting your name out there, the marketing aspect, it's kind of a difficult thing. But once you catch a little traction, especially in small town communities, it really does take off over time. And word of mouth is the best marketing available in the industry right now. So
absolutely, because we do a ton of networking. All of us in the office. Well, there's 4 of us that are out on the sales floor all the time, and we do a ton of networking. So that's kind of not a lot, but that's one of the pieces of the puzzle of your business. You got your word of mouth, you got your networking, you got your referrals from your previous people you've done work with, and things like that. And you don't get any of that if you can't be a reputable person or reputable name. You know what I mean? People do business with people they like and trust, and that's
exactly right.
And that's something exactly that it takes. Right. It takes time, and if you're from a very similar area that we are, it seems it's not a big town, but it's not it's not your Austin, Texas, but it's not the Podunk, Tyler, Texas.
No, you're right. You're right. It's it's being able to make your name reputable. You can put all the catchwords and catchphrases on signs and business cards and stuff like that, and you can put dependable and best prices and honest and stuff like that. But the proof is in the pudding whenever it comes down to it. People want to see it. They don't want to hear it. They want to see it actually in action. So
absolutely.
It's something that, here in the Hallettsville area, especially, it's been something that's been very good for us. For me, being a resident here now for 13 years, it's really helped me get a little bit of name for myself. I'm now selling roofs in the town I used to coach in, so I'm using a lot of those connections to make things happen.
Absolutely, and it definitely helps break down those barriers a little bit because you were known, trusted, and liked in the community and put with their children. You chose to lead men. You know what I mean? And that's not something it's not an easy task to do, man. I was an athlete all through growing up. I just graduated in May from being a collegiate athlete, so it's understand how that side works of it. And it's not you get a barrier that's a differently let down barrier after you've coached somebody.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Definitely do. Even the coaches I didn't like, I still respect. You know what I mean? Because I know they meant something well for me. I might not have liked what they were giving me at the time. I might not have liked them whenever they're yelling at me about whatever I was doing wrong. But when you look back on it years later, you're like, man, that person meant something. That they cared about you for saying something like that.
It's called character building, is what it is. It's not yelling. It's called character building. We're building character loudly. So.
Exactly. Okay. Look, I like that. But no, man, it's definitely seems like it's been a journey for you, and it's still growing, man. And I'd like to be a part of it as you keep growing. I'd like to, kind of stay in touch, stay in contact with that. But no, what was that one thing that you knew you could lean on, when you first started, kind of that thing you didn't have to worry about, you knew it was going to be there for all the time. Like you didn't have to worry about yourself.
It's, I guess family, it was probably the biggest thing, reputation in the town was something I could lean on. You got to know, well, I don't think there was really one particular thing that I could lean on, but it's just, knowledge of the industry, being able to get out there and convey your message to other people and let them know that you are a reputable person.
Right.
And making people believe and making people understand that, in the roofing industry, there's a lot of sketchiness going on, a lot of sketch out there. And, people get that wrapped up in their minds and they kind of, constantly go back to that. So, trying to convince people that, this is not your typical roofing company. This is not just somebody who's going to come in like a chuck in a truck and throw some shingles up on your roof and you won't ever hear from them again.
Right.
Leaning on my reputation in this town, in this community, and trying to, reach out to other communities and other towns in the area. That's the one thing I always fell back on, is like, hey, you can trust Jon. I
Right.
was talking to a customer today, and the customer has a nephew who is in the construction industry, and she was saying, hey, I'd like to go with him to do my roof, but I don't know if I can depend on him to come in and offer the same kind of stuff that you have.
Right.
So. And I told her, I said, look, Mary, I said, I'll do whatever you want to do. You got to know that I'm going to be here. Okay.
Right. Right.
I'm going to give you I can't afford to have a bad reputation around you. I can't,
Right.
my business will go under in no time.
Right.
So again, building on that reputation, building on trust, making people understand that, we're not your everyday run of the mill roofing company. We're here to help you get through a peril. We had hailstorm come through, several houses got damaged, and
Right.
whenever it comes down to it, those people are dependent on us to take care of them and restore their house back to pre-storm conditions.
Right. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. And, leaning on a good reputation is big time, especially in communities of that sense. People don't understand the magnitude of things like that.
You're right.
A lot of people don't, because they'll just go around and, not worry about whoever. If they did a job for little old Linda down the road, they don't know. They just assume because little Linda lives right here by herself, she has no connections. Little old Linda could be the best friend of the mayor, best friend of this big person that's in charge of this type of thing, and then that it could send something, and that could have was good or is good, could send it bad just off of one thing that's ever said.
Well, you never know who the next catalyst to success or failure is going to be.
Right.
It's really one of those things. It could be somebody, like you said, some little old lady who may have some connections, elsewhere, and if you go in and do a knockdown job and she put your name out there, that roof could turn into 15 or 20 roofs, Or if you go in and do a bad job, that could be the end of your career and the end of your company. It's just a matter of how it goes with that person. So, got to push customer service 100%.
Right. And then I love how you told the lady that you mentioned that you had said that, we'll be here. We'll do whatever you need to do. It's kind of, when you give a client that type of comfortability of telling them, like, look, in sales especially, you can't try to rush it. If you try to rush it, they're going to move on their own time.
They're going to see it. They're going to see, people can look through the BS, people see through BS pretty easily,
Absolutely. So that is definitely something I appreciate, because it's not, like the worst case scenario, you're educating somebody on something that they have no idea about. 90% of people don't know nothing about the next thing they're going on to do in life. They don't know 10% about the car they drive every day. They just know the electronics work on the inside, turn the AC on and turn the car on.
Yeah. And when it comes to roofing, this is not something that you do every year. It's not something you do, every 5 years. it may be, you may put on 2, maybe 3 roofs on your house in your entire life,
Right.
So it's a big moment. It's like buying a car.
Right.
It's like in a lot of ways, it's kind of like, I don't want to say having a kid. That's a little bit extreme, but it's a major purchase. It's a big financial commitment, and people get real sticky about money, and they want to put their money where it's trusted, and they know they're going to be taken care of.
Absolutely, absolutely. But Jon, what would you say was the one thing that you just had, like, you struggled with very bad when you kind of went out and started on your own, like that one thing that you knew you were going to have to hire out?
The biggest hurdle I have to overcome on a daily basis is, I guess, I'm a very organized person,
Right.
but I organize in my own way.
Right.
It's not like, the technology of stuff, everything is done on computers these days. I'm a virtual office, to be honest with you. Everything. I shop. I work out of my home.
Right.
My home is my office. So it's the technological aspect of everything, working with computers and, having to input this and having to input this, it takes a high level of organization that you have to have, set in place.
Right.
And honestly, that was my biggest. I swing hammers. That's my deal. I swing hammers when it comes to a computer. Yeah, I can manage it. I can take care of it. But at the end of the day, I've got to force myself to input the information into our CRM with every customer. I've got to remind myself that, hey, we got to get this person in the system so that I can go back and manage whatever I have to manage. I've got to keep up with all the estimates. I got to keep up with all the invoices. I got to keep up with all the warranties. That's the side of the business that's the hardest for me, is to make sure that everything is taken care of. Now I do it 100%, but it's just one of those things where when it comes to, the running of a business, that's the part that really gives me the biggest headaches, because I'd much rather be out there pounding the ground talking with people about shingles and metal types and stuff like that
Yeah.
than sitting in front of a computer working on invoices and estimates and, dealing with insurance and
Right.
all that racket there,
Dealing with that underwriting over there, insurance, a headache of that
Mm-hmm.
right there. Oh yeah, we got our own underwriting, and we got an insurance office too. The owner of my company, he owns an insurance company too, so they work pretty close with us. But that is, I could definitely see the headache that they deal with, because I see we deal with it too. And he's like, "Wait, y'all have underwriting?" We're like, "Yeah." Like, oh man, that's my biggest headache. I'm like, "It's mine too, mine
Yep.
too."
Yeah, I'd much rather sit, I'd rather sit down and visit with the homeowner and talk about, product lines and, what's best this and what's good that and what's bad this and what's bad that. I'd much rather be out there talking with folks than sitting in front of a computer all day. That's for
Right,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah, because do the things that you're really good at instead of having to go in and
But it's
do.
part of the job. It's
It
part of the
is, it
job.
is, it
It's
is, it
part of
is.
the commitment.
Have you thought about hiring that out?
Yeah, well, my wife has actually decided to start taking on some of this stuff. Since I bought my business partner out, she's kind of stepped into a role where she is trying to learn how the CRM works, how all
Right,
of the apps work, and how it all ties together.
right.
I got to give my wife mad props, because she's the smartest woman I've ever met in my life. I can tell you that much. So
That's that.
she's a hell of a lot smarter than I am. So
That'll keep you out of the doghouse.
yeah, exactly. But the good thing is that she's a very special person, and she gets it, and
Right.
she's been there, and I got to give her mad props. But as
That's
far as
super awesome.
hiring out, I mean, I have no desire to bring in like a secretary or anything like that, or I mean, I have no desire to do all that. I mean, everything. I mean, like I said, I can do it. It's not a matter of can. It's just it's sitting down in front of that computer and
Right.
banging on it for a couple hours to make sure you
Yes.
get everything in.
Absolutely, and especially like so. I would assume most roofing companies do. Most of your work probably comes via insurance work.
Majority of it does now, yes.
Yes, and that's what 30, 60, 90 payouts.
No, we take 50% up front. Well, in insurance claims, it's a little bit different. The insurance guys have gotten pretty smart. In the past, they just cut you a check and say, "Hey, put up a roof." Well, the problem is people took that money and bought boats and bought
Mm-hmm.
trucks, and 2 years later they're trying to file another claim, and they're like, "Well, we've already got this claim." Well, insurance companies got smart several years back, and they break it down now to where you have to show a lineage of payments for not only your deductible but also your ACV, your actual cash value payment that they pay you up front. So the way we take our payment terms is we collect a check for the deductible.
Mm-hmm.
We take a check for the ACV. Okay, we do the project, go through the whole thing, submit the paperwork back to the insurance company with pictures of cleared checks that shows that everything has been paid. And then once they have that paperwork, then they'll release the RCV, or the recoverable cash value, or the depreciation as it's called, on the
Okay.
back end. So yeah.
Okay, that makes a little yeah. Okay, because my dad had ventured out into that roofing space with one of his buddies that just bought into it with him, and that's what he was like. He didn't realize that was like the length of getting paid. He was like, man, I ain't. He's like, I'm just going to stay doing what I'm doing. He's like, but they can keep doing that. He's like, it's really good money. He's like, I just can't do it at the time. You know what I mean? It wasn't one of those things where you
Yeah.
could just go out and wait a couple weeks for it. But
Yeah.
I have a ton of friends that are in that industry, and they all do really well, and they all love it. You know what I mean? They love what they're doing.
Well, the hardest part with insurance is explaining the process in a way that a customer can understand.
Right.
Because they say, "Hey, I need to get bids for this." Well, you don't need to get bids. I mean, insurance company's going to tell you to get bids. What are they going to do? They're going to go with the lowest bid.
Right.
That's just the way it's going to be, because they don't want to pay any more out of pocket.
Right.
What people got to understand is that, in order to, and I hate to use the word maximize,
Yeah.
to maximize your claim, but to get the most out of your claim that you possibly can, because again, this is not something you're going to do again the next 2 or 3 years, hopefully.
Right.
In order to get everything that you can with the best possible warranty and the best possible service and the best possible product, people got to understand that there's a process to it. And at times it sounds like it's a little bit shady. It's like, okay, so we got to do this with 2 checks. Well, why do I have to do 2 checks? Well, because at the end of the day, I've got to show lineage of checks with payments being made in
Right.
order to get the depreciation. If you don't have all that stuff in line, it just creates more of a headache for the adjuster. It creates more of a headache for the contractor, and it really creates a bigger headache for the customer or the homeowner,
Right.
because they're just completely lost. So the hardest part is educating the homeowners about the insurance process and how it works, the different types of policies that are out there, and just letting them know like, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm really here to help you. I'm not here to screw you out of money. I'm not going to, rip down gutters just to rip down gutters so you have to
Right.
buy more. That's not what I'm here for. And really trying to educate people about the way the insurance, and I'll call it a game. It's an insurance game. How it
Absolutely.
works is trying to convince them and make them understand that, hey, I'm here to help you. Okay. And with the nature of roofing as an industry right now, it's so hard because there are so many guys out there that'll just come in, take a $10,000 check and put up a POS roof and
Oh
walk
yeah.
away.
Oh yeah.
So
And leave shingles and nails all in your yard. Oh yeah. They'll do you right. They'll do you right. No.
oh yeah.
That's definitely a question I've always thought about. I've thought about it recently a ton, especially since I've been into sales and seeing all of it. I'm like, man, I need to pick somebody's brain about that a little more. And then what would you say your percentage of people do they pay out of pocket for a roof?
I would say on the retail side, I would say probably one out of eight, 1 out of 10
Really?
is
That's more than I
yeah.
thought.
Yeah, it's I mean, so far this year, I think I've put up, oh crap, I can't even think how many roofs I put up, but I mean, I would say it may be more, it may be a different ratio, but it's one of those things where well, and one thing, just throwing this out there that people don't know is a lot of insurance companies have put a stipulation on if your roof is over like 12 or 13 years old, they won't insure your roof. They won't insure your home. That's and they're having to pay for that out of pocket. So
See,
that's where a lot of that's coming from right
right, and I'd heard something about that a couple weeks ago in a networking group. They had said
now.
something about that because they got burnt so bad the past couple of years on roofing that they're striking down a little bit harder on that side of it. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But whatever. Let them do their thing. Let them do their thing.
Yeah, and insurance companies are dropping policies right now, left and right.
Yeah.
They're dropping policies left and right because of people having old roofs,
Right.
or not the correct wiring in their house, or for whatever reason. I mean, I see the roofing side of it because that's what I do. But I've had at least 4 people this year alone tell me that if they don't get a new roof on their house, their insurance company is going to drop their policy.
Jesus,
It's
man.
crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
It's crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
The world we live in is insane. Insane. But now, John, that's the last question I always ask everybody is, do you know where we got the illusion burn the ship?
You had mentioned that to me. So talk to me about that a little bit. I kind of like that.
So Central American key store Hernan Cortez lands in modern day Mexico, which they thought was America, wasn't, but then Central America. But he lands there and tells his men and their armada ships, they makes them disassemble the ships and unload all of their goods and service everything that they had to live on the beaches, and they made them burn the ships on the beaches. And this was his sign to his men that they were going to die, make it there, they're going to die trying. And we use the same sense in entrepreneurship, as being a business owner and being into the business world. It's not easy to just hop in and go all in. A lot of people have one foot in or one foot out, kind of doing something that they want to do. And then, in your sense, you were a school teacher and a coach. You had a stable career, great benefits, going to retire probably had another 15, 20 years, could have retired and been living good, you know what I mean?
Start a second career.
But it's also something that you didn't want to do, that you didn't feel you wanted to do that much, and you went out and burnt the ship. What did it feel like to burn the ship?
It was amazing. It was a leap of faith like you wouldn't believe, man. It was one of those things you look at and say to yourself, like you said, I left a very stable job, a very successful job, and it was something that's always going to be there,
Right.
But you take a deep breath every day whenever you wake up and say, okay, you got this, man. We can do this,
Right.
even when tough times,
Right.
even when tough times hit, and business is slow and the pipeline is small, and, things that just aren't going your way, you got to get up and get after it because, I've got 2 kids and I got to provide,
Right.
I've got to do it. So it's one of those things, but, being able to take that step into my own deal and like I said, buy out my partner, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's a huge leap of faith, but, I've got a huge support system behind me. I've got a business coach that works with me. I've got my wife, I've got my kids, I've got a lot of support out there, and of course, small town community. I've got a great community that I live in, and they're helping me out. And
Right.
they know that I'm the go-to roofer in the area, and I'm looking to expand as far as I can. I mean,
Absolutely.
later on down the road, my wife and I were talking about this last night, that maybe we at some point we can hire a GM, somebody to work the guys underneath me, and I could take the true business owner perspective on that.
Right. Right.
So, but yeah, we're gonna crawl before we walk, but we're gonna get there eventually. And yeah, the ships have been burned. I can tell you that much.
That's awesome, man. And that you had something in there I would like to segue off of a little bit, man. This is probably my favorite quote. Tough times don't last. Tough people do.
That's right.
That's
Amen,
awesome.
brother.
Man, John, I
Amen.
appreciate you very much, man. And tell the people where to find you.
Okay. Yeah. Again, this is Jon Lamson, American Shield Roofing and Construction here in Hallettsville, Texas. 361-343-7018. That's the business line. My cell phone number is area code 832-452-1116. You can look us up on the web, www.americanshieldroofing.com. Like I tell everybody on my live videos on Facebook, if you look at your roof and you see something going on that you got concerns with, give me a shout. I have no problems coming out there to give you a free estimate, free inspection, let you know what's going on. I pride myself on honesty, and try to make sure that everybody understands if there's no damage up there, I'm not going to tell you need a new roof. I mean, I can sell you a roof all day long if you want me to, okay? But if you don't need it, I'm going to be honest and tell you don't need it. So same thing with insurance. If I don't feel it's necessary to file an insurance claim, I'll be upfront and honest with you. There's no sense in going through that whole process if it's not necessary. So, but yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, Ezra, to be on here today. This is a new thing for me. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. And if anybody out there in the world needs any kind of roofing, they got any roofing issues going on, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you.
Man, thank you so much, John. We're gonna link his socials down below, his website and contact information. That way, if you guys need to reach out over here in the Texas area, reach out to him. He'd love to service you guys, and he's an awesome guy. Burn the ship.